Hello everyone, it is close to sunset here in Los Angeles on January the 15th, and I'm doing this video. Usually I do videos 48 hours before a full moon, but I'm going to do one now. I'll repost this a little bit later. Let me see if I can move this down a little bit. Not that it matters, but it's a rainy day in Los Angeles, one of the few rainy days that we do have, and the lighting, I felt inspired to do it. I thought it'd be too dark, but in some ways the lighting is actually really, as I look at it, it's nice. It might be too dark by the time it processes. I don't know. So we have a full moon total lunar eclipse in the sign of Leo on January the 20th at 9:16 p.m. Pacific time. So it's January the 21st for a lot of people. But January 20th, 9:16 p.m. Pacific time, shortly after midnight on the East Coast, and morning time in India. You know, I'm going over some of the primary geographies where people watch the videos. I wish I was up to speed on where it is in Australia and New Zealand. So a shout out to clients or folks in Australia and New Zealand who watch this. It's a geography that I have no doubt often gets missed because we're so northern hemisphere centric. All right, let's get to the heart of the discussion. My overall advice or suggestion before I go into describing the full moon and the eclipse and give you some important dates to make some connections as to what this eclipse is hitting is that we are in between two eclipses. We had a solar eclipse on January the 5th, and I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one. So there was a lot of good information on the January 5th solar eclipse in Capricorn that is worth revisiting. And then we have on January the 5th, on January the 20th, I'm sticking to Pacific Coast times, we have the full moon lunar eclipse. So we're sandwiched between two eclipses. And eclipses at times, as I like to say, when God takes the wheel. Some astrologers would, events that occur tend to be out of our control. Sort of God, the universe, sweeps in and takes charge of certain things. Situations, lives get eclipsed, removed from us, taken away from us. It's not unusual for people to transition in the shadows of eclipses. Fated events, fated news can come. You know, again, just the idea that God has somehow taken the wheel and changes are afoot. The nerve-wracking aspect of this time is somewhat contradictory. On the one hand, all planets are direct, and therefore we are compelled to be in action. We are in action. Certain things have been set in motion really since November the 15th to some extent, but have been gradually accelerating, and we have no choice right now but to be in action. And yet everything is not clear where we are going to land, where things are going, still being figured out. So my advice overall for this week is slightly contradictory. In a nutshell, it is try where you can to not settle on decisions. And that feels so stupid because it feels like, Abby, on the one hand, you're saying be in action, and yet you're saying trying to not, and I'm not saying try to not settle on decisions permanently. I'm just saying wait till the middle of next week. Wait till the 23rd, 24th. Wait for the eclipse fallout to occur. There are astrologers who believe that during eclipse time is not the best time to have a plan set, especially when you're headed towards a full moon lunar eclipse. Something can come up in the next 5 or 6 or 7 days that throws a bit of a curveball. Now, some things that come up can be expected. You're expecting a payment to come through. You're expecting something to come to completion. You're expecting an offer. Certain things might be expected. So if that is what is occurring, then it might be that something comes through that allows you to move forward, continue to move forward. But in other cases, something can show up that throws your current plans for a loop. So if you know that let me give you this analogy. If you know that you need to be moving, by all means, do everything you need to do in order to facilitate whatever that forward movement, forward motion is. But just know that for another week or so, just wait and see how things crystallize, how things come to be before making those travel plans or making that final decision. There are ways in which we can keep moving forward on things, sending emails, executing, moving forward based on the way things look like they're going, while keeping that final decision, while just waiting to put pen on paper. And so just we're 5 days away from this eclipse. It's not that long. And really, if you want to give it another week or so just to see, but continue to be in, if certain things are in motion, continue to take action and to move forward and explore options and to look at different possibilities and keep moving. Sometimes forward movement can mean negative things or things that we perceive as hurtful or harmful or challenging. Someone transitions, something, we lose something, especially with the solar eclipse that happened in Capricorn, which was an eclipse of release. So between the new moon on January the 5th and the full moon on January the 21st, there's an escalation of events, and we need to honor that escalation, and we need to crank up the energy and the amount of action that is happening and continue to be in action and honor that energy. You know, for certain people, this is going to be harder. So, if, for example, if you have an Aquarius ascendant and the sun is moving through the sign of Capricorn, you know, let me not to get too specific, but you know, bottom line is we have the normal new moon, full moon process. And then after the 20th, 21st, the full moon, things are going to gradually start to wind down, especially as we head towards Feb 4th, the next new moon. So by all means, if you know certain things are absolutely happening no matter what, take action to do that. You know you need to look for a job. Look for a job. Pull out all the stops. Take action. Show up to the interview. So when I'm saying don't make those final decisions, I'm not saying don't be in action. I'm saying please honor this time and be in action. We have 2 months in this year when all planets are direct. We do not get these windows very often. And just know that forward movement sometimes is forward movement. So it means that if the rug needs to be pulled from under your feet, it's going to be. So just know that we resist forward movement just as we resist retrograde planets and inertia, because we resist everything as sort of the human condition. So by all means, move forward and be in action. Just in those cases, honor the fact that this is a full moon total lunar eclipse, and there may be things that are emerging or happening where it is that you just need to continue to be in action and do all the preparation, all the work. Pick up the phone call, make those phone calls, send those emails out, send the boats out to sea. But just wait for another week or so to see how things manifest, so that if there is a curveball, if you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to go to Barbados in 3 days or 4 days, but, you know, I would just say, and it's a whimsical decision, I would just say, well, why don't you just give it a week to see what comes up? Because something may come up over the weekend that makes you feel like, oh crap, I need to say this is an awesome opportunity. I need to somehow pay attention to. Just be mindful of how many ships you've got out to sea, and just wait to see. It's a full moon lunar eclipse, so and a total lunar eclipse. So and it'll be visible, I think, for many people in the States. That's what's exciting. I think it's exciting. It's kind of rainy and cloudy here, so I hope it isn't too cloudy that we miss seeing the damn eclipse, but let's see. We're not going to see a full moon total lunar eclipse, I think, for a little while after that, at least in terms of visibility. So let's talk about the eclipse itself. It's the last of the eclipses in Leo. So we've had eclipses on the Leo-Aquarius axis that have now moved to the Capricorn-Cancer axis. So the January 5th solar eclipse was in Capricorn, and this January 21st is the last of the Leo-Aquarius eclipses. The dates, it's the final eclipse thematically linked to the following dates. And I know I've given these dates before, but I'm going to give them to you now. Thematically linked to events that occurred December the 9th, 2016 to February 9th, 2017, the second half of 2017, especially as you looked at July, August, September, October of 2017, and the second half of 2018, August 11th, I think it was, of 2018, and this is the corresponding lunar eclipse. So we had the solar eclipse, August 11, 2018, and this is the corresponding lunar eclipse. In addition, because it's a lunar eclipse, on January the 20th, 21st, look to events that occurred November 20th, 21st, the week before, the week after, to see if there's some sort of a linkage. The week before and during Thanksgiving in the States, if that's helpful. Did something come up that was just like, what is this? And did it start to precipitate a certain set of actions until January the 20th? So pay attention to that. There might be a link. I think in my case, I can see some sort of a linkage, some sort of a thematic linkage in that regard. It is a full moon, so certainly the 48, 72 hours, which is going to start in 24, 48 hours time, before that is going to see an acceleration and see everything kind of ramping up, which is why I'm just like, it's going to happen. The ramping up is going to happen naturally. There could be meltdowns, there could be anger, there could be frustration. If you can avoid, I would just say sometimes the full moon brings meltdowns, and I've used the analogy of the milk boiling over or the water boiling over, and it's necessary, because there's certain truths. The full moon is being revealed, and there's certain truths, although this is an eclipse, there's certain truths that are coming to the surface, and those truths need to be honored. So sometimes the meltdowns and the tantrums and the tears and the sadness and the, all of that has a purpose and has a place, because it is revealing some sort of important, undeniable emotional truth that may have been hidden or maybe under the surface. Sometimes with a full moon, as I've said before, things come to completion. Sometimes you're pushed into the limelight. So where there are situations where things are naturally coming to completion, but you feel like there might be friction, avoid it if you can during this week. So if you're going to be meeting or encountering someone and there are tensions and stresses, by all means, if it feels like something is progressing naturally and it's going to naturally lead to some sort of things coming to a head, then it might just be that it's written as part of this full moon lunar eclipse. But where something can actually be avoided and things are actually naturally coming to an end, let it come to an end without showing up at someone's doorstep at the 19th, and when the energies are already so intense and emotive that you cause a meltdown. Plus, as I've said, just give it till the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, just that much more, and just stay put and stay in action. And just let things come to a head, or let that completion come to a head, or let that last bit of news make it to you before you get on that horse to gallop off to Barbados or wherever it is that you're so intent on going. Because you might find that you don't. You might find that you go, oh, hold on, this just happened. Let's make a shift or an adjustment. It's unlikely that the course of events that is already progressing is going to change dramatically. It's going to happen, but there may need to be an adjustment. There may just need to be an adjustment, because this full moon lunar eclipse may bring something that is desired, or a culmination in some way of something. So I've already given you dates where there's a thematic link. I think, if there were, only this is an eclipse, the eclipses of release and the eclipses of things to lean into. So it is likely possible that for some of us, the news or the information that is coming here is pushing us forward towards our destiny, as opposed to something that we have to lose or give up or sacrifice in order to move forward towards our destiny. So the eclipses in which we are asked to lean into something are a little more positive, are more exciting in that regard, because they have a kind of a pull forward into this is where you're supposed to be going, as opposed to the eclipse we just had on January the 5th, where it's just like, oh, something has to be released, and that's really hard to let go of things or situations that make you comfortable or that you might even love. So yeah, there's also, I'm going to say this about this full moon. There are a couple of gorgeous, gorgeous aspects that are happening around this full moon. And there are a couple of really stressful ones too. So the energies there are a couple of places in our chart where, the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, the two lucky planets, the two positive planets are coming together really, I think, a day or two after the full moon. And they're so close, at this time, and they're making such an interesting aspect to Mars, such a fantastic aspect to Mars. There's some wonderful, gorgeous aspects with this full moon. And then you have a couple, the Mars-Saturn square, the two difficult planets kind of stressing each other. So it's bound to be, for a lot of people, this acceleration of events that is, you're definitely on the conveyor belt and you're going somewhere, but that somewhere just isn't here yet and it isn't completely clear. And that's hard, you know. That creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. And some of you may have, as a result of the January 5th eclipse and the week following that, or the, you know, even now, be dealing with some sort of a loss. Some of you with that January 5th eclipse, I've said in the video for that eclipse, watch the week before and after March the 5th. There's a whole other timeline, a 6-month looking forward timeline for that eclipse that's relevant. That'll be in that video. It is getting dark. And it is time to wrap this up. So, new moon Jan 5th, full moon Jan 20th. Acceleration of events. All planets direct, move forward, but allow for the slightly wild card quality. Allow for the things that are trying to manifest and come through and complete on January the 20th to happen. Give it 48 hours before, 48 hours after. Look to the date of November the 20th, the week before, week after. It is getting really dark. To see if there's a thematic link. And I've given you other dates from since 2016 to look at where you may have had things that you have to lean into or things that are beckoning you forward or giving you a sense of where it is that you need to go. Soon you won't be able to see me. I mean, I'm about to get eclipsed. So you know, on that note, you know, there's the full moon quality, there's the eclipse quality. Take action, but just let that final decision out. Let this week play out before you strap on your wings and dive off the cliff. I will leave you with that. I really enjoyed that metaphor. All right. I'll be back in touch soon. Thanks. Bye. Yeah, if you want to contact me, readings, etc., email address is going to be here before. And if you like this video and you find it useful or you want to share it, do that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click that little thumbs up button. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel and you want notifications when I do videos that are better lit than this one, then click the little bell icon on YouTube and you'll be happy and life will be good. Thanks. Take care. Bye.